So at this time, I would like to introduce our speaker today, Jim Morgan, who is the Vice President of Sales at RE/MAX Ability Plus and is one of the highest producing real estate offices in Central Indiana. So Jim, I would like to yield the floor to you at this time. I've enabled the ability for you to share your screen, so take it away.
I will get to work on that. Hang on a second. Okay, so we're going to talk about, there is no such thing as time management. That's a misnomer. It's not possible. People make billions of dollars selling snake oil that you can time manage. You cannot, but you can activity manage. Okay, and so we're going to go into that today. To give you an idea, one of the things that comes up quite often was we were introducing ourselves. These are the companies in our family of companies that we represent. I am the VP of Sales for the RE/MAX Ability Plus Real Estate. I am not involved other than an advisory capacity in our insurance company or our title company or our association management, which is a residential and commercial property management. Bonfire I am, that is a company that the best way I can describe it, it's the air conditioner running outside of your house or outside of your business that you forget you hear. We run the back end of people's companies. We do their marketing, their accounting, their logistics, their transaction coordination. We can do on all the systems so they can make their money doing what they do best. Carrying transitions, I'm in that same role where I help people downsize, declutter, move, estate sales, what have you. And Life's Copilot's a brand new company that we just started this summer, where we're basically a senior portal for all things senior to help people through that process of downsizing, estate sales, basically finding anybody you need to know for senior living. White Truck, I'm not involved in. That is a Airbnb management company. But the fact that we do multitask that, by the way, can you guys see this well enough in this size, or do I need to blow it up? Is it okay?
Okay. Jim, it might help if you did full screen.
Okay, that's fine. When I do, I lose you guys. That's why I was just curious. So, okay. All right, come on. Let's do this thing. All right, there we go. So basically, here's what it comes down to. We're going to talk about managing your activities. This is a quote from Nick Saban's. I absolutely love it. It says, people assume that everyone wants to reach their potential, be the best they can be. However, I've concluded that most people only want to be average and do just enough to get by. And when I say being average, I don't mean being, average to everyone, or I'm talking about being only average to your own potential, not exceeding, where, getting out of your comfort zone and getting to where you can be, or realizing the potential that you have to offer. So self-test, questions to ask yourself, when it comes to the time dedicated to your career, are you getting the most out of your hours? Again, like I say, I come from a real estate business. They say that most realtors work 10 hours a day, but they only actually do productive activity 4 hours a day. Okay, so are you getting the most of your time? Are you consistently operating at your highest and best use? Do you know what the highest and best use of your time is? Now, you answer these questions yourself, but anyway, those are some places we can start working from. To reach your potential, you must maximize your output. To maximize your output, you need to be effective and efficient. And through doing that is by being intentional and proactive. Most people basically are spontaneous and reactive to their day. And then by doing that, you have to implement an activities management system. Let me ask you a question. This will kind of get us on the right track. Have you ever come to the end of the day and you have been busy? You have worked all day putting out fires and running from this fire to that fire, and you get home at the end of the day, you're exhausted, you've worked yourself to death, and you kind of go, man, I got nothing done today. Has anyone ever had that conversation with themselves? That's what we're talking about here. Most of us are spontaneous and reactive. I'm going to talk about being intentional and proactive. Money is not the key asset to life. Time is. Gordon Gecko, he's fictional, but nonetheless, the quote's still as relevant. Time doesn't care whether you spend it or invest it. Life has no pause button. I love that concept to think about. And it's not extended to make up for any time that you waste. Most people simply react to the day as it appears. They kind of go into their day and they have plans, but then all of a sudden fires come up and they have to put out the fires, and they end up spending their entire day chasing spontaneity. Here is now was designed for like a salesperson. If you're not in sales, but if you're in business for yourself, you're in sales. So here's where it comes down to. When you're first starting out in phase one in any business enterprise, your first step is the commitment that I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm doing. When you first start doing it, your confidence level isn't very high. Okay. I mean, can you remember your first day in whatever company you're doing and you're having that first meeting? Your confidence was not necessarily off the charts. You were just hanging in there. As you develop your confidence, then you start becoming consistent. Every day you're doing it. You've got your time. You're going out there and hitting the action. By the way, I can tell you something, and this is for basically all small business people. If you are having cash flow problems, it's one of those first three issues. It's a commitment problem, it's a confidence problem, or it's a consistency problem. Okay. So you get through level one. Now we're going to go to level two. And this is a step that most people in small business avoid. They do not do this. They try to jump from level one to level three, which we'll cover in a second. And they avoid level two because level two is work. Okay. And it's out of your comfort zone. So level two is starting to put systems into place. Everyone talks about, I want systems. Well, but they don't want to do the work to make the systems happen. Okay. So when you do that, it's going to take the process of going through an endurance of you learning to adapt yourself to these systems, to do the things that it's going to take to repeat over and over and over again. Once you start doing that, you're going to start becoming effective with your time. You're going to start not wasting time doing things that you should avoid. Then you become efficient. Now, all of a sudden, you're operating at a high level of capacity. If you only want to be a successful salesperson, you don't have to do any more. If you want to take, to that entrepreneurial step where you're going to try to start leveraging your time and your income, to things, that's where it comes in next. And this is level three. Now, this is what people try to jump around. They try to hire someone. Oh my God, I'm so busy. I need to hire someone. I need an assistant. I need whatever. Okay. So they go out and hire someone, but they didn't go through the process of building systems. So they hire someone. They have no system to hire to. They have no system to train to. They have no system to hold accountable to. And then they can't figure out why that person doesn't succeed as their employee. Well, you basically set them up for failure from the get-go. Okay. So, but once you've gone through that process, you have those systems in place. Now you're bringing in someone new. That new person, by the way, has not gone through those pain points of learning that system and learning to adapt themselves to those habits. So you're going to have patience to work with them to get them through it. It's kind of like, do you go in and clean your kids' room or do you teach them how to do it? Okay. If you do it, it's going to be quicker the first time you do it. If you can actually get them taught to do it and have the patience to get through that process, then you never have to do it anymore. And that's what we're talking about when you're trying to bring a leverage in on your team. Part of the process is you're going to be promoting the system. Every time someone breaks down, every time that they don't do what you want to be done, you're going to go back and say, well, here's why we do it this way. Here's what the system is. So you keep promoting that through that process. At that point, all of a sudden you become proficient. Now you actually have a business that is growing and can actually, a key to knowing whether you have a business or if you're self-employed is, can you go on vacation and your business keeps running? Okay. Can you go away? They say if you can't go away for a year and your business grows while you're gone, that means you don't have a business. It means you're self-employed. Okay. Most people don't have businesses. So that's what this process does. Okay. Like I said, time management's an oxymoron. It doesn't exist. But you can take an activities management system and build upon the time blocking, and then that helps you become proactive and intentional. There's a story I like that. Let's say, for instance, I offer all of you today $50. And at $50, you have to go to the grocery store and you have to buy everything your family is going to need for the next week with that $50. You cannot spend $50.01, and anything you don't spend, you don't get to keep the change. Okay, you have $50. Now, how would you go about your shopping? Would you just kind of go in there and just walk up and down the aisles and, oh, well, this looks pretty good, I'll try this or whatever? Or would you have to really plot out, how am I going to get my family through on $50 this week? Okay. That's what you have. Let's say you're working 50 hours a week in your business. You have those hours. What are you going to do with them? And that's what it comes down to. Time is unforgiving. You can't get it back. It's the only non-renewable resource you have. Now, so here's part of the process to get an activities management system in place. It's kind of like doing a diet. It's trying to like doing a money budget. You're going to need to sit there and define the total hours that you want to work per week. I want to work no more than 50, no more than 40, no more than 60. I don't care what your number is. What's your number? Then you define the total career hours per day. If I'm going to work 8 hours a day, then here's my 8 hours. You identify vital blocks of activities. Now, what I mean there is lead generation, lead conversion, client care, and personal development. And you block those times in your day planner. You record the initial specific vital activity. Now, one of the things that you're going to have to do is, and we learned this the hard way when I was VP of sales for a builder, we had two things that happened to us that really were extremely eye-opening. One, our front desk person, who was minimum wage, she was the least paid person in the entire company, was a sweetheart, but she decided to go back to college. When she left, our entire company was in disarray for months. And the reason being, she had taken on all these different tasks that no one knew she did. So all of a sudden, she's not there. No one's paying attention to these tasks, and they weren't getting done. So no one was keeping an activities management list for each activity, for each person. And we dropped the ball big time. We also had a situation where our construction superintendent, our VP of construction, he was a walking, talking code book. He could tell you any code in any municipality. He was amazing. He also knew where everything was and all the different construction phases of all the different homes under construction. He was in a really bad motorcycle wreck, was in the hospital for several months. We were in panic mode, trying to get all that stuff that was out in his head into a system that we could operate. So all of us sat down and tried to create, here's everything I do and when I do it, and if I'm going to use this, who do I call to get it done type list. I promise you this is something you want in here, okay? So once you have those vital time blocks, then you stay engaged for the block. So let's say you block out a time. We'll go through a calendar here in a minute. If you learn this little trick, it will change your life. If you block out a time for lead generation, I'm going to make phone calls from 9 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday morning. If you go into that block with your list already ready, so you don't spend a half an hour screwing around trying to figure out where to make the first phone call. So you've got your list there, you're ready to go. Inevitably, you're going to get a phone call that you've got an emergency from a client. Somebody's mad, somebody's hot, what have you. I'm going to give you a little secret. 99.9% of all emergencies will wait for an hour. Stay focused on what you're doing and then call back, okay? So stay focused for the entire block. Refer to vital activities checklist as needed. Make sure you're doing vital activities, not just activities to be busy. Assess progression at the end of the day. So you reflect on what you just did for the day, figure out what needs to be revised, and then you just release, forget about it till tomorrow, and you start it and you just continue doing it. Here is a calendar. We've got in here that we're going to do lead generation from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock on that day. Okay, that's that block of time. So you go into it with all your lists together. And I don't care if you're doing phone calls. I don't care if you're doing texts. I don't care if you're sitting in a, I don't care what you're doing for that. You could be knocking doors. I don't care. But that's lead gen time frame. Okay. Then after that's client care. So every one of those fires that came up, the people you need to get back with on a follow-up on a contract, that's for that next 2-hour time frame. Go to lunch. Then you have some little admin and follow-up you do. Then you go to lunch. Then you go back to lead conversion, lead generation. You go back to client care, and then some other admin and follow-up. This is just an example. It could be different things. But let's say, for instance, you're on lead gen, which is the one, by the way, the reason you do this and you time block is because these things The client care is not, but lead generation is the one that's almost always ignored because it's not urgent. It has no flashing lights going off, going, you have to address, you have to deal with this until you're broke, and then you have nothing in your pipeline. Then all of a sudden you start getting some flashing lights. But if you focus on that during that time, because it's not urgent, but it's important. So you always make sure you put that in there as a criteria that is not shakable. It is not movable. A realtor in town that's always been very successful. He's getting towards the end of his career now, but Larry Rasmussen is a friend of mine. And Larry told me something decades ago about his career path. And it's never gotten out of my head. Every morning from 8 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock in the morning, every morning of his career, Monday through Friday, he's in his office with the door locked, making phone calls. Okay. He has done that for his entire career and calling past clients, calling, whatever. And everyone in the office knows that you don't come in there during that time frame unless the office is truly burning down. Okay. Well, he's never had these peaks and valleys that most people have. His business is always producing because he's always putting people in to that back end. That's what we have to do here. Time blocking is worthless unless you know what you're implementing the right activities. Saying yes to an activity always involves saying no to others. For instance, one of the agents I was coaching, she was making a lot of money. She was working herself to death. She had no life. Okay. And one of the things I was kind of going through her vital activities. And one of the things she was doing was going to all of her, whenever they did a photography for the listings, she would go there to watch the photographer. And I'm going, why in the world are you there? She goes, well, my clients love it. They really appreciate that I'm doing this for them. I'm going, have you used that same photographer for a long time? Yes. Do you know what their quality of work is? Yes. Do they know what you want? Yes. Why are you there? Well, because my clients love it. I go, have you ever asked your clients? Probably not. Okay. It was just something in her head that she was doing, but she was taking an hour and a half out of her day to do something absolutely no value to her vital activities. Okay. So don't get stuck in sacred cows. Make sure that what you're doing is actually a vital activity. So potential. You want to create potential. You need to get maximum output. If you ever want to hit your potential, to be that, you have to be effective and efficient. You need to do intentional and proactive. And then through that, you're going to need an activities management system. Recommended books. First Things First by Stephen Covey. I absolutely love that book. It has gotten me through so much issues. I work for a guy who is an idea guy, and he comes running into your office all the time going, hey, here's an idea. Can we do this? And then I always ask him, okay, I'm this far into this project. Do you want me to put this project aside and do this one first, or do you want to put this one after this? And almost never is it I have to put one aside, okay? Because here's what happens, and maybe you've had this happen. You've got 500 unfinished projects that you got started on and then never finished. And then you feel that weight on your shoulders all the time. That's how you do it. It's a first things first thing. Another one, I just read this one recently. It's called The 3 Big Questions for a Frantic Family. It's taking this kind of a concept and moving it into your family, not just into your business, which is a great tool. So let me get down to this real quick. I want to show you something else as another tool. This is something that we use in all of our companies to help us stay on track. It's called Basecamp 2. There's a lot of different programs out here, but it's just a platform that we can build flow charts and activity charts for. So for instance, every project has, a chart here. You can assign to whomever you need on that project. I go here to me, and it tells me what I've just done, what I have to do, some things I've just done here, and I can go to my to-do list. And it's got all 4 companies of the different things that I'm doing, and it's got a list on there of what needs to be done and when it needs to be done. And it's got, 3-month anniversary follow-ups, 6-month anniversary follow-ups, all on there. And then that is my to-do list that I just, I see I've got like 4 new ones here on the bottom I have to deal with. But it is it just keeps you on track. And we get an email at the end of the day telling you what's going on. Another thing that I will say that I find very, very helpful is, I'll stop the share here for a second, is another tool that I call, that's called Calendly, which if you're not using it, I strongly recommend it. It is a tool that when I try to book an appointment with someone, rather than doing this phone tag back and forth or an email tag back and forth, here's the dates I have, here's the dates you have. It's just, I send you a Calendly link and say, pick a time that's best for you. And it goes right into my calendar. My appointment rate has skyrocketed, and basically I just keep getting notices all day long about different appointments I have. Okay. You can set it up to however you want to do it. Mine is set up currently that you can't book an appointment with me before 10 a.m. That way I know, a lot of our company meetings are at 9 or 8:30 or 9. So it doesn't get in the way of those. And additionally, I know I have this back pocket time I can slide an appointment in that I need to get somebody in quicker. Okay. You can't book an appointment with me after 4 p.m. to be done at 5. And another reason I don't do that is because if somebody books an appointment for me in Lafayette or something, I want to make sure that I'm not having to be there at like 7:30 in the morning or something, type thing. So this gives me room, and it also gives a half-hour drive time between appointments. For a while, I adjusted that because I was doing Zoom meetings all day long. Okay, but now I'm back on in a car. I just found out last night that I'm actually very excited about this. In a way, I mean, it was one of those, I knew I was going to walk out of the room happy. I actually was running for Senate last night in a caucus, and I ended up getting second, so I don't have to put that into my calendar. So, because I was going to have to adjust earlier and later in the day if I was going to try to do all these different things. But that's kind of where that is. I can give you back you've got power of it again. So any questions, I'm all here.
What was the name of that app again?
Which one? The Calendly?
Yeah, can you spell that?
Yeah, it's.
Or put it in the chat? I don't know if I can see my chat.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then the Basecamp 2 is there's other different programs. Now, just understand, it doesn't give you it just gives you a platform to build your flow charts. But what Bonfire does, for instance, we run the back end of all kinds of different companies. Right now, for some reason, we're getting a lot of business with catering businesses and restaurants. So what we do is we build our flow charts for that particular company. We run the back end for them, so we systematize, because most small business people are not any good at systems or marketing or what have you. So we can run those for them, but we sit down with them and we build that structure. And we just use this as a platform that all of us use.
Does anyone have any other questions for Jim? Wow. Jim, I think you left everyone speechless here today.
So I'll tell you what, I couldn't do my day if I didn't have these systems in place. I'd be over at St. Vincent's Stress Center with a little white jacket on.
Awesome. Well, everyone, let's give Jim a hand for his presentation today and sharing the info with us.
Thank you, guys.